Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to the Flatout Racing Network's coverage of Season 64 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. Tonight, it is race number 12, playoff race number 4, elimination race number 2. That's right, here this evening we are finally going to determine who the final 4 competitors will be to run for the championship this season. 1 driver already determined last week, 3 more spots remain. We may end up having a driver win their way in and leave the final 2 spots up to points. If a non-playoff driver goes to victory lane here tonight, the final 3 spots will be on points alone, and the points are super close coming in tonight. The 7 remaining participants to advance are separated by only 14 points. I'm Seth Cole alongside Kyle Matthews, Michael Norman. Guys, we have seen, it seems like every single time we end up having an elimination type race, whether it's back in the regular season finale, our first elimination race from 13 to 8 2 weeks ago, all the playoff drivers seem to find each other up at the front, all clumped together, and it literally has come down to, in most cases, a single point. Feels like that's going to be the case here again tonight.
It very well could be. You know, we all know how close the battles are here and how every bits matter in one specific position. So you have some drivers get a good race, some drivers get a bad race, and it can turn things upside down in a hurry.
And one of our playoff drivers isn't even in the field tonight.
It's true.
But don't worry about him. He won last week. He had one shot to make it into the championship 4, and he did just that last week, that being Josh Metallic. He's the only guy comfortable here tonight, and he's not even racing.
Josh Metallic? I thought it was Grandma.
No, it's Josh Metallic. And it's kind of funny, too, because I had actually initially forgotten that Metallic was on vacation now. Said he was going to miss this week, and I was looking for the race post. Couldn't find it. Well, hope you're enjoying your vacation there, Josh. He said he was going to be tuning in here tonight to see who his other 3 competitors are going to be, and we'll be looking at those point standings here in just a moment. But let's talk about the playoff drivers here and the situation that they're in, because as mentioned, Grant Wesley, second in points, is 5 points above the 4th in the standings cut line. Ulysses Sandoval, Dunn, LaPrade, they're tied for 7th, which would be last of the 8 championship drivers. They're 9 points below the cut line, so 14 points in total separating 7 drivers. What are you looking for here tonight with 35 drivers taking the green? Are you looking for the win? Are you looking for points? How do you manage whichever type of scenario you're looking for?
Honestly, in this situation, I think you got to just go for the win. At that point, let the points fall where they may. I mean, it's the only way you're going to know that you're locked in for sure. So
I'm looking for Grandma.
Grandma's starting 33rd.
Did she get run over by a reindeer?
Wrong time of year, but, talk to me a little bit later on around November. Might happen.
And I'm sure there's a lot of nerves heading into this race.
Oh,
tonight.
yeah.
We actually got to talk to Ulysses Sandoval before the race started tonight. He admitted he's really nervous about this race.
Yeah, you definitely got to think nerves are at an all-time high. He is tied for 7th, 9 points below the cut line. We'll take a look here at the starting lineup. 35 drivers going to take the green flag here this evening. Bernie Mobbs draws the long straw in the Lotto Q. He'll start on the pole position alongside of Pat McCarskey. Dennis McCarthy, Ron Hagelin going to make up row number 2. Kelly Causey, Rodney Sullins in row 3. We just talked about Ulysses Sandoval. He's the highest star in the playoff drivers. 7th place is where he'll roll off the grid alongside of Bob Seminara. Jeff Crivello and Graham McDonald going to make up the top 10. Robert Breedlove, playoff driver Grant Wesley, they're back in row 6. Row 7 finds Jeffrey Elliott and Richard Martin. Row 8, John Godfrey, Denny Carroll. Row 9, playoff contenders Chuck McClure and Dunn LaPrade. Donnie Garrett, who comes in the cut line driver. He's back in row 10 with Craig Hagley. Brian Schilling going to make up row 11 with Mike Mangialardi. Schilling, another of our playoff contenders. Row 12 going to be Cy Jones and Doug Cady. Joe DeSpirito and Glenn Harris, they're back in row 13. Row 14, Terry Bombard, Jessica Shelton. Row 15, the top 30 completed with Randy Waugh,
Luigi,
and Jeremy Jeffries. Mark Paglia, Keith Bynum going to be back in row 16. Tim Nofsker, playoff contender, starting all the way back in 33rd with Doug Hulick in 34th. Brian Rawson completing the 35-car field. Gentlemen, here we go. Going to determine that final 75% of our final 4 for the championship for the next 2 weeks.
Nice job getting in the full starting lineup right before it started. That was,
I've had a lot of practice. Hey, if they'd had a full field, we probably wouldn't have made it. Mobbs tried to go up to that middle line, wasn't clear. Makarski stays to his outside. Little contact there down the back straightaway. Might be a little too early for something like that. Lap 1, you don't want to tear that race car up. And Makarski clears for the top spot, immediately jumps down to the bottom. Well, now trying to shade both lanes here through 3 and 4.
Not really one to committed to one lane right yet until he comes off the corner, but even then, now the third line forming immediately.
I'm surprised they're already 3 wide. Looks like trying to go 4.
Oh my gosh.
This is lap number 1, guys. Come on.
That's Rodney Sullins up there on the top side in the 38. And Kyle, you talked about a lot of the playoff drivers that basically should just come into this race with the must-win mentality and let the points sort themselves out. I feel like there's a lot of drivers
Someone's in
here.
the wall back there. He was lagging.
Oh, that was
Craig Hagley.
Car. Hagley.
Yep, 82.
Something probably a miss on the 82 because he is not up to speed and he's driving off of the racetrack right now.
Hopefully he'll be able to get off the racing surface. And if not able to make it back to pit road, we'll be able to call a tow to be able to get back there safely. But I have to think, Kyle, with the point that you brought up about the playoff contenders, we've got, not including Josh Metallic now, 7 drivers in this field that are all running for a spot in the Final 4. That means there are 28 other drivers that don't have the weight of a championship hanging over them. I feel like a lot of them are approaching this race as a must-win situation type event as well. I mean, look at some of the drivers we got up here at the front that have yet to go to victory lane this season. Rodney Sullins got eliminated in the last round of the playoffs. Bob Seminara, he was the first driver outside the cut line when we put the playoff grid together. You got a former champion back there in Demar, the 43, fourth on the outside line, and Kelly Causey. If you remember back to that race at, I think it was Talladega, he was 2 laps shy on fuel, being able to win that race under caution. Eventually had to turn that win over to Brian Schilling. So there's a lot of hungry drivers here that still have a 0 in the win column.
And Kelly Causey was actually leading at the white flag last week, and Josh Metallic passed him for the win. So he's had a couple of chances to win. And he wants to close the deal before the season is out.
Top 5 single-filed out. Side by side for 6th, Bernie Mobbs, the pole sitter, trapped on that inside line, middle line motoring around him. Hagelin now clears. Dunlap will move by as well. Graham McDonald will pull up alongside in the 33, so that inside line starting to fade back here. And this is typical of what we're used to seeing at both Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway and Talladega. You get lined up in that middle line. That's where the speed, that's where the momentum is. Inside line maybe the shorter way around the racetrack. There's a lot more off the throttle time, especially when that car gets tight off the exits of 2 and 4.
It's never a good feeling when your car gets tight like that. So, yeah, definitely want to be in the middle if you can. And that's where most of the cars are right now. That inside line is falling back.
Cars on the outside lane, kind of gives you that feeling of like there's nowhere to go when you're stuck in a line like that. I mean, yeah, some of your instincts tell you to try to pass and go, move forward a little bit. But honestly, when you're like this, or even early on in the race, you're just
Bernie Mobbs! Oh, there goes Sandoval!
Jessica Shelton got a piece of that. A few others.
Terry Bombard. Oh, there's someone flipping up there. That's Doug Cady.
And the 8 car was flipping as well.
Oh, look at Tim Knopfsker. He drove underneath the 007.
James Bond.
Jeremy Jeffries was involved in that too. Got a little piece.
Somebody, I bet you that was probably chain bumping / bumper grab, I think.
Doug Cady, I don't think he's even going to get back to pit road.
Yeah, a lot of smoke coming out of that car, and we just saw him teleport.
Yeah, I'd say he needed to climb out of that machine after that. John Godfrey is barely moving back here too.
Michael, you might have been absolutely right about what initially started the wreck there. Mobbs was leading that inside line, and with them dropping back, there might have been a sense of desperation to get that inside line going and potentially a bump in the corner. And then everything that happened up out of turn 4 was, I think, all in reaction of cars scattering to avoid this incident.
Well, did somebody get turned into him, maybe?
Yeah, it looked like
the 41, right?
Is there contact between...
Oh,
yep, right there.
Yeah.
Denny Carroll and Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
Then everybody just Okay, right, just reacted
that
behind
didn't
them.
look like that didn't look like a big hit. Oh my lord, for
Wow.
the 9 and the 96 either.
31, I don't even think really got that much damage. He went down to the apron, brought it back up onto the racetrack. I think he's okay, but one of our playoff drivers right in the middle of that, Ulysses Sandoval. See how much he was involved in this is right there. Gets a little tap from behind from Doug Cady. Clips Doug Kulik.
I think he'll be all right.
I think he's okay.
If he avoids, there he goes. I'll say if he avoids the 10, but
most contact, if anything, was to the right rear.
I think we should try to ride on board that 7, the 007.
If the camera survives.
I have to say that's gonna be a wild ride.
Yeah, that Napa car.
We'll first show a.
There's 2 Napa cars.
That's true, and they were right beside each other.
I mean, right now he's like, yeah, I missed it, and then oh my gosh,
didn't miss that one.
Flips the 8 of Glenn Harris over as well. Look at Tim Nofsker. Woo!
Tim's like, oh my gosh.
Tim was the furthest starting of the playoff contenders here tonight. Started out in the 32nd position.
Maybe we should ride on board Tim's car.
With Tim?
Well.
We'll start first with the... I don't think the roof cam's going to survive. We'll do the in-car cam with the 007.
The helmet cam.
Everything looks fine until now.
I think what happened in that situation, I think everybody dove down to the apron. I think Chuck McClure tagged John Godfrey in the left rear quarter panel, and it slid him up the track right into the path of Doug Cady.
That's enough to get you dizzy right there.
Yeah.
Front end all destroyed there, and
And here's a look with Tim Nofsker, who started all the way back outside the top 30. Watch him get through this.
What is it that the 4 said in NASCAR Thunder 2003? How would you like to see this happening in front of you?
Yeah, it'd be Mike Skinner that said that. Yeah, that's...
Look at this. Dodges the 8, and underneath the 007. Oh my gosh.
You know what? If we could bring under caution, I would love to see Tim's reaction to that. Bit of an in-race reporter as we're under yellow here.
I think we can get a hold of him.
Here, I'll reach down to him and see. Where is he at?
Pit road open. Most of your leaders going to come down pit road here. Doug Cady has retired from the race. Craig Hagley, we're still trying to figure out what the situation was for him. He's being scored a lap down, but
all right, we got him right here.
User was moved to your channel.
Hey Tim, Michael, Kyle, Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got a copy?
I sure do.
We just took the onboard with you there.
That was crazy.
Yeah, I wish we had you mic'd up getting through that wreck, because I would have loved to have known just the raw reaction of being able to skirt not only past the 8, but underneath the flipping 007. You're a playoff contender that started out back. Do you expect you were going to have to brush up on the wreck avoidance skills this early?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's probably a good thing I wasn't mic'd up, because I don't think we can broadcast that on YouTube.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
that was pretty rough. But yeah, I just able to scoot through. Got lucky.
Yeah, that was a very crazy accident there, man. How's the car handling so far?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. I'm just trying to bide my time, stay out of trouble. The sad thing about it was I was the one that lottoed the field, so I kind of did myself in.
It happens. Happens a lot. But good luck there, Tim. We'll see how far up you can go, and if you can reach into the top there, or even win the race tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to do my best. Thanks, guys.
So Tim Nofsker will go back to work. We'll take the opportunity here under this first caution of the night to bring you up to speed on what those playoff points exactly look like. Here they are. Metallic's locked in with his victory last week. Grant Wesley is only 5 points to the good, second in the standings. Schilling and Garrett tied for third, only +3 above the cut line. McClure, Nofsker, who we just talked with, they're -3. Ulysses Sandoval, Dunn, LaPrade, -9. None of those drivers have to win here tonight to advance into the Final Four. There's enough cars in the field, and there's such a small points gap between second through that tie for seventh. Any one of those drivers could move their way into the top 4 through points and equally fall out of the top 4 on points. Of course, the only driver really of note that was involved in that wreck there, Ulysses Sandoval. A little bit of contact as well for Chuck McClure, but I don't think he spun out at all. Both those drivers continue on the lead lap. I believe they'll be up to speed. And you see Craig Hagley going around to get his lap back, so our 34 remaining drivers will all be on the lead lap on the upcoming restart.
Yeah, that wreck happened on lap number 5, so, man, if we're getting a wreck that early, boy, look out.
Oh, we saw them going 3 wide, coming around to complete lap 1. That may be the tone that we're going to have here this evening. Bunch of drivers with different agendas. Majority of the field, though, not battling for the championship. Their agenda, top of their list, would be go to victory lane. And Rodney Sullins and Grant Wesley, they're going to be that front row for this upcoming restart. Rodney looking for his first one of the season. Grant looking for his second, and of course a golden ticket into battling for the championship. It's been a while since we've actually seen Grant advance into the Final Four and hunt for the championship title.
A couple of guys in row number 2 looking for, their first win of the season. Bob Seminara, alongside him, Kelly Causey. We talked about how close Causey has been so far this season.
Up inside our top 10, only 2 drivers have gone to victory lane. Grant Wesley, Dunn LaPrade, both playoff contenders. All the rest of those drivers there looking for their first win of the season. We've had a couple of first-time winners overall here in Season 64 with Bob Dixon and Dunn LaPrade both finding victory lane. You got a couple candidates in that regard as well in the latter half of the top 10. Randy Waugh, Denny Carroll, make that Jeff Crivello back there.
Pause.
Well, you muted your microphone as well, so I didn't know if you were going to say it or not.
Well, I muted it because I have a squeaky chair that I'm sure nobody in the background wants to hear all the time.
Well, Tim had a dog squeaking a toy in the background, and that was fine.
I mean,
Either
wrong.
that or Cody Lamas was racing on keyboard behind him.
Green flag back in the air.
Thank you for getting us back on track.
We don't talk about llamas in here.
We don't talk about Bruno either, but here we are. Well, that outside line, they got broken up quick. I think the 41 of Denny Carroll was able to find a space in line behind the 21 of Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
And that's why we end up having that big gap from LaPrade back to Jeffrey Elliott. Sullins, though, moves up to the top side to pick up Grant Wesley. Ooh, car on the apron.
43 car, they're bouncing off the apron, keeping it together.
That's the former champion Richard Martin, last driver to win a championship here in the Talladega Challenge Series without winning a single race that season. Pointed his way to a championship.
That is very impressive.
Looking towards the back of the pack there. 931 Robert Breedlove may have lost the draft. John Godfrey is also back there. And Greg Hagley, who just got back on the lead lap at the tail end of this pack. Looks like those 3 might actually still be in the draft. They might be okay, especially if they continue to race double file in front of them. Here comes the inside line. Bob Seminara going to try and lead a charge down there with help from D-Mar. But Randy Waugh jumps up to the outside line.
Randy Waugh, Luigi.
Looks like the 096 Ulysses Sandoval is good to go after getting involved in that first caution. He's leading a third line further back there with Pat McCarskey, Doug Kulik, and others.
I don't see anybody off the pace, so it's like everybody's good who's still running.
Which is surprising, at least for one of those drivers, that being Glenn Harris, because Doug Cady, who was one of the cars that was flipping out of turn 4, is out of this race. The other car that flipped with him was the Krispy Kreme Chevrolet, and he is still up here in this lead pack for the moment. Let's kind of odd to put the combination of words harmless flip together. But
Yeah,
sometimes it happens. You know, sometimes a car will barrel roll and it will hit just the right areas of the race car. It will not make contact with the roof and doesn't deal with aero damage for the entirety of the race. Stranger things have happened, so
Flip harmlessly.
yeah, that might be the
I've
case
heard
there
of-
for Glenn Harris.
maybe not necessarily in NR 2003, but I've heard, drivers, like, actual NASCAR drivers say that there have been times they've gotten up into the wall and it actually helped the car's handling and made them go faster. So it's just strange things can happen like that.
Here's the driver we were talking with under that most recent yellow. Tim Knofsker did a great job of skating his way through the incident. He's now made his way up into the top 15, following in the tire tracks of a couple other playoff contenders. Chuck McClure, a couple cars ahead. Donnie Garrett right there in the middle in the 77. Trying to make their way up into the top 10 now. As I believe that last time by, that trio crossed the line in 11th, 12th, and 13th place. Furthest of our playoff contenders back right now would be Brian Schilling. Last time by, he was scored in 26th.
Looks like the top, was that 5 or 6 or single file now. Randy Wall jumps down in front of the 43 car to lead that inside line. See if they can make any ground up here.
We've had a couple of drivers that have jumped down to the inside to try and lead that inside line, and really to no effect. No sooner do they start to get formed up, and a couple of drivers jump up to that middle groove and they lose all their momentum. Now it looks like a bunch of them committed down there. Randy Waugh jumped down, Jeffrey Elliott, and now Dunn LaPrade is going to head that movement down on the yellow line, and he'll pull alongside of Rodney Sullins for the race lead. LaPrade picking up his first win, his first playoff appearance, and looking for his first Final Four appearance in the playoffs.
And that win came right here at BSR.
Yeah, he knows how to get it done here. And it's the one time you'll see the middle lane just has nobody in it. But it's not dying as fast as you would think it is, and I think we can see them all jump up right about now to that third lane.
Denny Carroll leading that third line there. Remember, he was the car that initially got out of shape after contact from Randy Waugh sent him down into who was I believe it was Ulysses Sandoval. And that car does not look the worse for wear. Now up in the top 10, 3 wide for, I think that would be the 6th position, with Kelly Causey in the middle and Richard Martin on the bottom.
You keep saying the middle groove's where you want to be, but it looks like the inside line, they've got it together for the time being.
Well, the middle groove's where you want to be when you double file. 3 wide, it's the inside line. Somehow, some way, that third lane of traffic finds a way to draw back the middle line and gives the advantage to those cars on the inside. If they're double filed, then that middle line is able to fight back. But right now, you only got 3 drivers really there in that middle groove with Sullins, Wesley, and Causey. It's about, 2-3 car lengths back before you get to the next car in that middle line of Ulysses Sandoval. They need that group. There's about a half dozen of them back there. They need them to get up here, form this line back up, maybe be able to even the numbers against the inside line. Saw Bernie Mobb start this race from the pole. Tried to clear up to the middle groove on the initial lap out of turn 2. Was unable to do so and was pretty much pinned on the bottom. Fell outside of the top 10. He's been able to work his way back up now into the top 5. Just behind the Richard Petty throwback of Richard Martin. Doesn't even really look like that third line's making up much ground, as now they're all, the third line and the second lane are going to mesh together and make one big long line on the outside of this is not light train. Caution I just saw right there. Yellow out.
Wonder what for. I don't look like everybody was still in the pack. Was there a...
Glenn Harris is behind the pack.
He is. I'm not sure what this caution is out for. If it's a phantom yellow, there's a possibility as to what it could be, but we'll see if there was actually a cause. Doesn't look like it. Huh. Well, that's an odd one. The last couple of times we've had phantom yellows, it's been if a driver comes down pit road, retires out of the race while sitting in their pit stall taking service, but nobody was on pit road. Yeah, we just looked through.
Just got word it was a debris caution of some sort. I don't know if...
Who would have been dropping debris? Well,
maybe a car was dropping something on the track. I mean, I've seen that message in the game before. So.
Phantom debris caution.
well, an interesting one here for our second yellow flag of the evening. This would have been around when drivers would have had to make green flag pit stops had we not had any cautions from the start.
Yeah,
So
we're almost a
puts...
third of the way through this.
Yes, this puts everybody now to a two-stop race.
You're a two-stop race.
Dunlap wins the race off pit road.
Pratt had the 18th pit stall as well. He might have, well, I was going to say he might have gone with less fuel than everybody else, but then again, he was up at the front of the field when that caution came out as well.
A couple cars staying out there. Looks like is it Brian Schilling, one of them? Yep.
Schilling,
gonna get
Jeremy
a bonus
Jeffries,
point here.
Brian Rawson, Craig Hagley. And we saw Schilling kind of riding out back first third of this race. Not a bad call. If you didn't have really good track position when this caution flew, get that bonus point. Could be very important as to whether you're advancing above the cut line or not.
Every point is going to matter in this race for
Absolutely.
these guys.
I mean, we've seen the last couple of weeks incidents take place involving playoff contenders on the last lap or under the last caution with absolutely no time available to be able to get any of those points back. So this call here by the 4 could be very important, something that we would revisit later on here when the checkered flag waves. He may stay out an extra lap here again. We'll see. May not pit till the 1 to green. Craig Hagley's coming down pit road. Jeffries and Rawson will stay out as well. So eventually, race lead will be turned over to Dunlap with Randy Waugh
Luigi
in second, Bernie Mobbs third, Grant Wesley fourth, and Rodney Sullins in fifth. That again is the unofficial top 5 if these top 3 do come to pit road, which I assume they will more than likely do the next time around. No need for a lucky dog. All 34 of our remaining drivers were on the lead lap at the time that caution flew. Only one driver behind the wall in Doug Cady. Bring you up to speed on the bracket challenge here tonight as we are in the finals on the loser side of the bracket. This evening, Ulysses Sandoval and Mike Mangialardi going to determine who's going to be moving on to take the fight to Brian Schilling in either the next 1 or 2 weeks of competition. Why I say that is the winner tonight will face off against Brian Schilling next week. If Schilling finishes the highest of the 2, he is the bracket challenge champion. However, if Schilling loses that matchup, he gets the winner's rematch in the season finale, and the eventual winner of that one will be the official champion of the bracket challenge. So Schilling's been waiting in the wings for about 6 weeks now, and after tonight he will finally know who his competitor will be to face off against next week at Talladega.
A winner's rematch.
Yep.
I've never heard of anything like that on any kind of bracket series. That's an interesting concept.
Hasn't had to be utilized very often. More often than not, the winner on the winner's side of the bracket, when they face off against the eventual winner on the loser side of the bracket, they end up winning it right then and there in that 15th or 14th race, depending on how many races we have during the course of the season.
The eventual. That's what you said.
Made sense to me.
Okay, here come the top three coming down pit road. Looks like we're going to get the one to go this time by. So Dunlap-Pratt will be back to the lead here.
Looking real quickly at scoring, LaPrade, Grant Wesley, and now Brian Schilling, the only 3 of the 7 playoff drivers in the field here tonight that have led a lap and have garnered that extra bonus point. Nofsker, McClure, Garrett, and Sandoval still yet to lead a lap here tonight.
I think Nofsker should get a bonus point by the way he avoided that wreck. That
right?
was still...
You know, in iRacing, I don't remember what series it was that we broadcasted, but there was a series where they actually awarded, if you end up getting involved in an incident or something, they will give you what's called a 2x or a 4x or an 8x, depending on the severity. If a driver ended up having a completely clean race and had a 0x, they actually awarded them some bonus points at the conclusion of that race. I'm kind of with you on that. With what we saw at Nofsker, give them some bonus points for that.
Kind of reminds me of when you're back in the early to mid 2000s when NASCAR was first on NBC. They always had the Good Hands Driver award.
We're not sponsored by Allstate, so we can't call it that. But
that's right. That's why I didn't mention the name of the sponsor for that award. But
lights out atop the Wiley Coat Tribute Pace Car. And we're going to go back green with 44 laps to go. We'll officially be a third of the way through tonight's elimination race. All 7 of our remaining playoff contenders still in this race, to our knowledge up to speed and on the lead lap. Scoring may not have completely updated. We'll give a general idea of where the playoff drivers are restarting here. Dunlap-Pratt going to restart the leader. Grant Wesley in 4th. Tim Nofsker now up to 8th. Ulysses Sandoval 9th. Donnie Garrett in 10th. Then you got to go all the way back to find Brian Schilling, who will be 25th on this upcoming restart. Chuck McClure starting deep in the field, 31st for the 17. As we get ready to go back green, lap 23 will go up on the board. Two cautions tonight, only one for cause. We're going back green after a phantom debris caution put us under the yellow here, just past the lap 20 mark.
So 21 car got a good restart right there. Got a good push from Grant Wesley right behind him. It's like Wall and LaPrade are dead even right now.
Momentum will be on that middle line if they stay double wide.
Yeah, he's got to get clear of them through 3 and 4.
Took away the option for LaPrade on the back straightaway to move up to that middle groove.
I mean, he's got him. He could slide up if he wanted to, but that would have just hurt the momentum.
He was clear for a moment, but I feel like he would have scrubbed off too much speed trying to move up there, and the 88 was pushing the 21 off of 4. He would have been to the right rear quarter panel. It would have been really close, and I'm not necessarily certain he would have been clear in time.
You know, I didn't get a look to see what Jess's paint scheme was for this race.
It is the Coors Light, Bill Elliott 1991 colors there.
Just back in that middle groove there behind Brian Schilling.
That was the only year that Bill ran that car, 1991.
And new leader.
It was a pretty good year, if you ask me.
I wasn't born yet.
What year was it?
So 91.
1991.
Oh, I don't know about it being a good year. I was introduced to the world, but
I wasn't.
Well, same here.
I wasn't born yet, so it was not a good year.
2 legends were born that year. Plus 7.
oh, okay. Yeah, I was about to say I'm not sure I'd really classify us as legends, but I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah. Depends on who you're talking to. Oh, look at that. Down the inside, Randy gonna pull the block there.
It's going to open up the door on the outside for the 43 of Martin.
He saw the
right behind
88
him.
He saw the 88 dive low, and 21 went wham.
Right behind him, Tim Nofsker worked his way up there after the wreck avoidance we were been talking about.
Donnie Garrett there as well. It's interesting. We're going to maybe here in a moment have the 88 of Wesley, the 77 of Donnie Garrett alongside each other. When I entered into the TeamSpeak here this evening, entered in through the their general chat room, heard those two talking with each other about the situation here tonight. I mean, they know they know how close the points are. They know there is no room for error, and they were talking about that and maybe forming up some kind of a strategy to maybe help each other, be up at the front, stay at the front here.
Yeah, but here comes Richard Petty on the outside.
Well, wrong, Richard.
I swear it's like Wesley and Nofsker are connected with the 88s right there, because it seems like every time one is up front, the other one is either right next to him, in front of him, or right behind them. It seems like because
all the similar numbers find each other.
00 going to make a third lane now. He brought a lot of people with him.
When you talk about Richard Petty there, Michael, we call Richard Martin D-Mar. That means that Richard Petty would have to be known as D-Pet. I don't think that'll catch on.
D-Petty.
D-Petty.
I think he likes.
That sounds like a rapper.
I think he likes the name the King better.
Ah, there you go. Yep.
It's not Durburger. It's Durpetty.
200 wins.
Oh wow! Third lane started, and it looked like they were trying to make a fourth lane. The 088 did go up to the third lane there, and I feel like the 43 probably should have done that too. Now Dunn going to come off the inside to go to the middle lane. That might not have been such a good idea unless he jumps up to the third lane.
Oh, we got some flippers back there. Oh my gosh. Hagley, Graham McDonald. I think Glenn Harris may have flipped for the second time tonight.
Hagley still flipping. Finally comes to a stop right in front of the start-finish line. My goodness, what is going on tonight?
Doug Hulick is all crunched up.
Cars flipping still. Cars driving under cars.
I said I was going to use the pun after he said it last week. That car did not stay within the lines.
No. There's not crayons all over the racetrack after that. But
and
man,
wax.
This is
wax
how many
all over the racetrack?
We've already seen like what, 4 or 5 cars flip tonight in
well,
both wrecks.
2 in the first wreck. I don't know how many we had in this one. We'll find out. There at least 2, maybe 3. Who does this start with is the question. Does it start with the 82 of Hagley up there in that third lane? Oh!
Yep, contact right there. Can't tell who that car was he made contact with. I think it was a 97.
Gracious!
Yeah, I think there's 3 more that went over in this one.
Hagley
and then look at the ride that he takes here.
He goes up into... Who was that? Graham McDonald. And then Graham McDonald just kind of literally floated across the track, grabbed the roof of Doug Hulick, and proceeded to flip him over.
I think the 23 is done for the night. Look at all that black smoke coming out of that car, and I'll be shocked if the 82 is still able to run after this.
Here's another look at it. And actually, we can take this all the way back to the exit out of 4 because there was contact before what we even saw.
Michael, we're going to your favorite camera angle here.
Right there, a little contact as the 82 comes down into the 197. Then the 197 comes up into the 82. And there's the end result.
Yep,
look how the 33 just grabs the 23 and I think the 8 of Glenn Harris.
That part right there, still gets me right there, how he continued to just flip. I don't know how many times they're across the start-finish line. I don't know what happened there within the track, but man.
Tough night here in the early going for Craig Hagley. Had some kind of a problem at the initial start. fell a lap down, was able to get the free pass, and was trying to make his way up into the top 15 right here. Watch the 33 cross the track, grabs the 33 of Graham McDonald. Glenn Harris did not go over, but Robert Breedlove was also swept up in that in the 931. And to your point, Kyle, we've seen wrecks. We've seen multi-wreck races,
We have.
but it's been a while since we've seen that many cars flipping in so few of incidents.
I was told.
Say that again?
I was told there was an incident on pit road.
Any idea between who?
While Kyle gets that information, Doug Kulik, Graham McDonald, Craig Hagley officially out of the race after that one, joining Doug Cady in the garage area.
That pit road incident was between the 9 and the 17.
Oh, those two have a little bit of a history together.
Jessica Shelton and playoff contender Chuck McClure. Looks like Chuck was leaving his pit stall.
It was the 931.
931. Robert Breedlove trying to come in.
41 was also having an issue, leaving pit road.
Denny Carroll trapped behind Breedlove and John Godfrey.
I don't even think he even tried to back up on that one. At least this was under caution and not under a green flag condition.
Under caution, but we got McClure back on pit road. That's a loss of track position. I'm not exactly 100% sure where Chuck McClure was running before he came down pit road.
But at least he'll still be in the pack rather than on the green being a lap down and not in the pack.
That's a good point as well. And I'm also noticing a number of those drivers that just came off the pit lane, they're throwing in the clutch. They're saving fuel. Why are they doing that? Well, if we go about the furthest that the window will allow them when we go back green, we're looking somewhere around the 50 lap mark, which would put us around 15, 16 to go. These drivers trying to save enough fuel that when they come down pit road, if it's under green flag conditions, they won't have to take on 2 cans of fuel. They may be able to only take on a can and a half, which may not seem like much, but it does save you quite a bit of time that translates to some pretty good track position gained once everything cycles around.
Looking at the Goldfish Crackers car right there. I had some of those here a couple of hours ago, so...
Yeah, actually, it's interesting you bring that up because kind of wondering where the famed Golden Horseshoe has gone. Used to be, we had the running joke that Jeremy Jeffries and Grant Wesley would swap the Golden Horseshoe back and forth, and Grant's only been to victory lane once this season. Jeremy did not advance into the playoffs here in season 64.
Maybe it broke.
Last I heard about a Golden Horseshoe, Kevin Harvick accused Jimmy Johnson of having one back in 2010.
Maybe Josh Metallic has it. Must-win situation in the last regular season race, and then
2 in a row.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, he got it in the first elimination race, I should say, in the playoffs, and then advanced his way into the Final Four last week. So maybe that's where the Golden Horseshoe is. Maybe he took it on vacation with him.
Probably did.
I wouldn't let that thing go if I had if I had one. That's...
Craig Hagley in our chat said, "Well, that was a lot of barrel rolls. Definitely was." If we had Barney Ward still around in the After 2003 community, he probably would have had that on his channel, to Count the Barrel Rolls series.
Oh, he would have had to do that for Robbie Gilvin in that one icebreaker race.
Yep, that's true too.
Well, we've had 5 cars go upside down tonight.
Jeremy Jeffries, I don't think, or not Jeremy Jeffries, Jeffrey Elliott, I don't think came down pit road this caution. Either that or he had a really good pit stop.
I'm honestly not sure. Scoring is showing that he's made the same number of pit stops as the other 7 drivers behind him. So he may have just had a really good pit stop.
That's possible.
But he'll be the leader when we go back green. Grant Wesley will line up to his outside. Randy Waugh
Luigi.
in 3rd. Dunn LaPrade 4th. Bernie Mobbs 5th. Then Rodney Sullins, Tim Nofsky, Ulysses Sandoval, Donnie Garrett, and Terry Bombard going to be the top 10. We were talking about the lack of playoff contenders up at the front beginning stages of this race. We've now got 5 of them, making up half of our top 10 on this restart. Our remaining 31 drivers, all on the lead lap. Nearing the halfway point here tonight in our 2nd elimination race of the season. Jeffrey Elliott's Toyota Camry going to bring us through the tri-oval, waiting on the flagman to get us back underway. Lap 31 complete, lap 32 about to be put up on the board.
Almost halfway home. Grant got a better restart than Jeffrey Elliott.
Got a great launch, did the 88. And now he'll move up to that middle groove. Jeffrey Elliott trying to pinch Dunn LaPrade up off of turn 2.
Somebody get down to the apron there. I couldn't tell who that was.
John Godfrey in the
Godfrey.
7-Eleven.
John Gilbert Godfrey.
Might have dropped down there just to get back to a safe spot.
Not a bad move.
Top 3 now clear. Looked like for a moment they were all going to jump down to the bottom of the racetrack.
Think we just lost Kyle there for a second.
You guys got me?
Yep, we
I
got you.
gotcha.
Okay, that's... It's a good thing we're having this race tonight, having this broadcast tonight, and not last night, at least for me. That you had some really bad storms roll through my area.
We did too.
Everything is fine, thankfully.
You guys did, we didn't.
I was fully expecting my power to go out with how bad it was, and somehow it
Imagine
didn't.
during... Well, Seth did have a broadcast last night during all that rain.
It was funny. Well, actually, the funny part about that was no sooner did the broadcast come to a close, that's when the lightning flashes started, so it was perfect timing in that regard. Speaking of which, next Wednesday night, we continue on the 2025 season for the Esports Oval Leagues Grind Cup Series. We're at the Tricky Triangle of Pocono, and it's the sports-themed race. Drivers will be coming out with their sports-related liveries. We heard our broadcast colleague Scott Rankin said he'll be representing the Aussies with a special sports livery on his number 61 machine. As drivers will look to conquer the 2.5 mile speedway. And Michael, don't knock him. Man has not only won a stage and won a pole, he's almost won a race. He almost got the victory at the Chicago Street Course on the final lap. I mean, I don't think I would have the mental capacity nor the I don't know, maybe the skills to be able to drive and commentate at the same time, but he does. Somehow he makes it work.
Let's talk about our top 5 real quick. I mean, look who we got up there.
Got 3 championship contenders right there. Grant Wesley, Dunn LaPrade, Ulysses Sandoval.
Look who's looming on the bottom of the racetrack there as well. We've known him this season to be a playoff spoiler.
Joe DeSpirito's won a couple of times this season. Was one of them here at BSR, or were they both at Talladega? I can't...
His most recent was at Talladega. It was the first playoff race. I don't remember which track his first win this season was
Wow,
at.
and you call yourself commentators.
Michael, we're old. We were born back 1991, remember?
Don't even know when he won a race.
Do you know when he won a race?
Absolutely not.
About to be 3 wide here.
I was waiting for you to ask me so I could be so quick to say nope. I have no idea.
Tim Nosker leading that outside line. Got 43 of Martin,
But-
the double zero of Kelly Causey with him, among others.
But there is something I do know.
How it feels to chew 5 gum?
No, that Big Bird almost died in Challenger accident.
The key word there is almost.
How did Big Bird even fit in the Challenger?
Oh, we got
Oh.
some spinners! That may not bring out a yellow either. Oh!
Jessica Shelton, Chuck McClure.
Oh boy.
Both get the inside wall. Looking up there at the flagman in the flag stand. No caution waving.
Wow, that's a tough break for both of them.
I would
We
definitely like to
remain
go back
green.
and see that. Yeah, I'd definitely have to go back and see how that started.
Oh, we'll go back on the replay here in a minute. See if this settles out, at least up here for the time being, for us to be able to go back and look at a replay. Some pretty good shots into that inside wall there. And as well, let's also remember that when we go back and take a look at what happened here, depending on who was responsible, we may end up having somebody have to come down pit road for a pass-through penalty. Ulysses Sandoval was hit with a penalty like that a couple of races ago. This was back in the
Look at the
mid-pack area.
41, the 41, 917 right there in that area. Oh, yeah, 41 just...
That was 2 separate incidents.
Yeah, 2 separate incidents of drivers pushing through the tri-oval. The
Yeah,
9
that's-
got pushed by the 41. I couldn't tell who it was that was behind the 17.
Might have been the 4.
No, the 4 was ahead. It was the 31.
That was a bump trapped in the middle of the corner. That's why you don't do it right there, because that's usually what it results in. And
I'm almost wondering if further up if there was a checkup. And that's why
No,
we ended up having drivers into the back
the
of
checkup-
drivers.
No, the checkup happened when the 9 got spun, and that's when the 17 got hit from behind. I
Well,
don't think there really was a checkup. I just think it was the
that was a bad,
the 41
just a bad
right on
place
the
to
back.
bump.
Yeah.
So both McClure and Shelton, they'll be hoping for a yellow to catch them back up to the field, but jury's out
McClure-
on how much damage they both would have sustained
McClure
there.
hit the wall with the back of his car, so he might be okay besides just a little bit of aero damage. Jess, on the other hand,
Now we've had 2 more drivers recently go to the garage area. We saw John Godfrey drop to the back of the pack, and he came down pit road and retired out of the race. Glenn Harris, who's been in a couple of incidents here tonight, has retired from the race as well, had that flip back in the first wreck. So a half dozen drivers, at least at this point in time, will not see the conclusion of tonight's race. As Dunn LaPrade has Joe DeSpirito behind him. Oh, Schilling, what is going on with him? Oh, I think his game just crashed. Car just disappeared after he went up into the outside wall. Another playoff contender with problems.
Look and see if he came back in. I saw a white car in the very back of the pack.
Did he reappear? I don't think he did.
Nope. Okay, that would have been the.
Yeah, that car completely disappeared.
Good. At least he had the wherewithal to turn it up to the wall when that happened.
But that's another playoff driver. McClure, who was involved in that incident past the start-finish line, 3 points below the cut line in 5th. Schilling, 3 points to the good coming into tonight, 3rd place in the standings. Both drivers right around that cut line. And I believe Schilling is just now reconnected back into the server.
Who would be fit? Who's 5th in standings?
Nofsker.
Then that would move Tim Nofsker now up because it was 3 positions. That's 3 positions, and he lost way more than that.
Nofsker right now, at least last time by, was scored in 20th. Another driver that could capitalize, Ulysses Sandoval, is right now in 16th. LaPrade is out in front, remember, too, Michael, because if the 74 wins, that moves the cut line up a position. So while we're talking right now about the cut line being 4th place, it could be 3rd
Schilling.
if a playoff driver wins tonight.
We'll see. Maybe Schilling only lost 1 lap, or so. I think he might have lost 2 laps, actually.
Yeah, we'll have to wait until scoring updates itself. More than likely, when you fall out of the server, you end up losing 2 laps. They may end up giving them one of those laps back here, but we'll have to wait and see. Jessica Shelton about to go a lap down after the contact she sustained into the inside wall. She would right now be the first car in line to receive the free pass. 2 drivers get the lucky dog under each caution. Schilling, obviously at this point, would be the second driver. Question is, how far up ahead is Chuck McClure, the other driver that was involved in that incident through the tri-oval? He's just now making his way through 1 and 2. Leaders are maybe a corner behind him, and they are carrying about 20 to 25 miles per hour more speed than the single car is. Robert Breedlove's not that far ahead either.
Jessica Shelton, I know her car's not up to full speed right now. She took a pretty good hit to the wall. Can't imagine Chuck McClure being much better because he took a pretty good hit as well.
Yeah, Michael said rear end damage on the 17, and that can go one of 2 ways. You can maybe be okay, or you could very well, as Jeffrey Elliott coming to pit road there.
Maybe he didn't pit under that caution.
Oh, well, he probably might have sped coming on the pit road. That looked a little fast.
See if the 56 can make a regularly scheduled stop here or not. Jeffrey Elliott has, in a number of races, parked it early as well. So this might be the case for him here. Let's see if this is just a regularly scheduled stop. Overshot his pit stall, actually, right there. But it looks like he is going to take service.
Joe DeSpirito looking for the race lead, though. He's got help from Bob Seminaro on the bottom. Don't know if the 17 had anything to do with that or not, but we have a new leader.
Chuck McClure now going to follow a lap down. Robert Breedlove just up ahead. And LaPrade and Randy Waugh going to start going back with no help on that outside line.
Coming up on Jeffrey Elliott, coming off pit road.
So Jeffrey will follow a lap down. Breedlove about to go a lap down. Going to make things pretty convoluted around who will be in those 2 lucky dog positions. Believe we only have 24 drivers on the lead lap up in this lead pack right now. We started the evening out with 35. And 2 drivers, playoff contenders now, find themselves more than likely below the cut line as the live standings would be going on, that being Brian Schilling and Chuck McClure, a couple of former champions. Grant looks good, currently up in the 5th spot. Donnie Garrett, currently mid-pack in 18th place, so I'm not necessarily certain he's in a safe position. We documented Nofskers back in 14th, Ulysses Sandoval in 15th, so the only driver right now that looks like he's in a good spot to advance, and that could change as early as the next lap, and that's Grant Wesley in the 88. Also bear in mind, we went back green on lap, I believe it was 20... Was it 22?
So we should be hitting pit road here anytime.
We're close to when we be hitting pit road in the next 5 laps or so, maybe less than that.
No, it should be less than that. If we went back to green on 22, I think you're thinking maybe 32. Because if it was 22, they'd be on pit road already.
Oh, no, you're right. Nope, you're correct.
Wow. Get your math right, God.
I've never claimed to be good at math. That's why I always left the disclaimer of when I would try and calculate at the end of a regular season who was in and who was out of the playoffs. I'd say, well, I'll give you my best guesstimate, but tune in next week to see what the official standings actually are.
Says the guy who managed to solve the problem of the poker chips in the Back to the Future escape room.
Yeah, well, a blind nut finds a squirrel every now and then. Tim Nofsker up there on the outside line I just saw. He's got no help.
Neither does your face.
And it needs all the help it can get.
Yes.
Seeing some radios lighting up, guys. I think we got some pit stops. And how many times this season have we seen races ultimately won and lost on pit road? Could be the same here for who's advancing, who's being eliminated from this second round of the playoffs. Let's see who makes the dive. Most everybody at the front.
I was just...
Can they all make it? Oh, Ulysses almost got into the back of Keith Bynum.
But he managed to not to.
They're all good. Lot can
So
happen
far.
between now and the exit of pit road as well.
As well as black flags. Randy Waluigi with the lead.
Going to be one of, it looks like.
You could definitely tell that almost all the cars came down pit road because there's only like 5 cars left.
Yeah, all 5 of those drivers right there. That's it of that lead pack. Jeff Crivello, Bernie Mobbs, Jeremy Jeffries, and Tim Nofsker along with the race leader.
Look at them separating a little bit to make sure they have plenty of room to come on pit road.
I mean, this is the money stop half for a lot of these guys right
Oh, Bernie Mobbs gets into Tim Nofsker. Nofsker saves it.
Thanks to Jeremy
now. Got
Jeffries.
into Jeremy Jeffries a little bit. They should be fine there.
The question, though, is did Nofsker get it back down in time? Because so often when a driver around you, behind you, gets into you, your first reaction is avoid that race car. The last thing you're thinking about is slowing it down to 55 miles per hour. So we'll see if he was able to back it down in time despite the contact with the 31.
And look who's made his way to second after that pit stop. Or, well, when they, you know...
Are we surprised, though? Grant Wesley, I've said it and I'll say it again. He's one of the best in the business for maximizing track position via pit road.
If he finishes top 3, we got to ask him about that.
I don't know if he even has... I don't know if he has the answer.
How are you so darn good on
He just
pit road?
does what he does.
I don't think he's gonna reveal his secrets to everybody.
Well, we could go back and probably dissect it all, and I still would have questions on how he does it.
Book. He just turns up the track. No, guys, you're not passing me. Sorry. No, it's Gandalf. You shall not. Oh my God.
I don't think that's how that went, but close enough. So we'll wait until they come back around here. See who cycles to where. Looks like 7 cars in this pack. There's another group of about a half dozen that I think have caught onto the slipstream there.
Seth, there's 8 cars in this lead pack.
Is there 8?
Yeah.
Oh, there are.
Wow. Count, my guy, count.
I mean, it's a miracle I even said 7. I can only count to 4, Michael. Speaking of 4.
That's true. Where did you get 7 from?
What happened to Schilling?
Oh, he had, aside from the connection issue or whatever it was that he had.
Oh, you're right.
Wow, Seth. What's happening to you, man?
I'm falling apart, guys. I'll be leaving you this series in my will very soon.
What happened to Schilling? Oh, he only fell out like 10 laps ago. It'd be funny if he was the leader because he's on a whole different pit cycle now.
No, he gained one of his laps back, but he just gave it up again there with the leaders bypassing him.
So we haven't mentioned it, and I said we were going to mention something about it during this race today. The world lost a really great actor more recently. Val Kilmer, fortunately, passed away at the age of 65. He was battling throat cancer for a lot of recently, but he ended up dying from pneumonia.
No, it would have been pretty cool tonight.
What?
If Tom Dixon was in the field and we had the Batmobile.
Yeah, that's fair.
That would have been fitting.
Val Kilmer, though, only did one Batman movie.
That was, what was it, Batman
Forever? Yep.
1996, I believe that came out. It's one of my favorite Batman movies, and that first series that they did.
That was when you found out that Tommy Lee Jones hated Jim Carrey.
I've only seen one Batman.
Christian Bale.
No, actually.
Which one did you see?
The George Clooney one.
Oh, Batman.
Oh,
Robin.
that's right. We did. Yes, that's right. With Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I've seen clips of the Christian Bale one, but I've actually not watched it like all the way through.
I don't. A
Oh,
lot
that's
of
a movie.
people.
That's 2 movies that we need to watch. Actually,
a lot of people like to crap on Batman and Robin. I think it was good. I don't care what anybody says.
I feel like George Clooney could have acted a little bit better. Or
for
his
me,
Batman,
I've
his
seen George
Batman
Clooney in
voice.
other things, and I feel like Batman was his weakest role compared to the other things I've seen him in.
George Clooney didn't even try a Batman voice. That's my only. That's the only gripe I have with that movie.
Well, I mean, do we really know that was actually Batman's voice?
Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy. That was a great casting role. And then, of course, you had Arnold Schwarzenegger, where they had to pay $1 million a day,
Freeze.
$1 million a day, and give him top billing.
Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl. That was a good choice too.
And was it Chris O'Donnell as
Yep.
Robin? Now he's a character at NCIS, and I can't unsee him.
Yes.
And I can't unsee him as Robin. Anyways,
Caution is out.
Now back to the race here. As we,
I think is
that
that the caution
Batman
or is that the
segment.
bat signal?
that was the Batman portion of our podcast.
We are racing back, remember. We are at less than 15 to go.
Hey, look. Cold Beaver commented and said, Grandpa, get it together.
You know what the interesting about that is?
What?
There are 3 people in here that he could have been referring to with that.
Not me.
You're old enough to be a grandpa.
I am 32. You guys are like 35.
That's still old enough to be a grandpa.
Yeah, but you're still older than me.
Smoke in turn 1. As Joe Despirito led them back to the yellow. Trying to look through here, see any visible damage.
did anybody flip over in this?
Yeah, that's a good question. Bernie Mobbs, we saw him have the contact on pit road with Tim Nofsker. He's retired out of the race, so our pole sitter will not go coast-to-coast pole to win here tonight.
Oh.
We may have had a flip, Kyle. What was going on here? They were approaching the slower machine of Brian Schilling. Cars go low, cars go high. And Dennis McCarthy gets up into Brian Schilling.
Boy, that 63 car wanted to flip.
Oh, there it goes.
It did. My goodness, that's 6. What is going on tonight again?
6 total flips for the race so far? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Let's go to the chopper cam on this one because I'm not sure what
4
went on
wide.
with the 024. He just all of a sudden shifted to the right. Oh, he got help.
Oh, he got hit by the 41 car.
Yep.
Wow, that's yeah, that's something.
Well, Brian Schilling was not in line for the free pass despite even getting caught up in this incident. First 2 cars 1 lap down, at least according to scoring when they came back to the start-finish line, were the 17 of Chuck McClure and the 931 of Robert Breedlove.
Going to take this caution as a good opportunity to go to the little commentator's room.
When's it going to be a big commentator's room?
Yeah, really.
Whenever you guys get big.
Okay.
Short people.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
Short people. I feel like that was directed at me, but you know.
What was the name of the guy? Randy Newman. Didn't he write a song about that?
I don't know.
Wasn't that like a Toy Story song or something? Short people got no reason to live. It's like, where in the world did you get the inspiration for that, Randy?
That's really depressing when you think about it.
It is. It is. Like, why is that in a kid's movie? Jeffrey Elliott's retired out of the race. Nobody's coming to pit road. They can all make it on fuel.
This caution was a good break for about half the field and a bad break for the other half because they were split right in 2. I think there was the top 14 had broken away after the pit stops. And now that's gonna bring everybody back together and everybody's gonna have a shot at this thing when we go back to green.
Helps a bunch of the playoff drivers. Ulysses Sandoval, Donnie Garrett, going to be caught back up here. One just above the cut line, one just below the cut line coming into this race. Looking right now, though, McClure's going to get back on the lead lap. We don't know just how up to speed that car is going to be. We could visibly see the back end damage that he had after he backed it into the inside wall. And Brian Schilling has currently scored 2 laps down. I mean, with only a handful of laps left, I mean, we're now past 10 laps to go. We're probably getting the green, I would say, with 7 laps remaining, potentially. It's extremely unlikely he's going to get those laps back. I don't feel it's too early to say that Brian Schilling could very well be one of our drivers eliminated from this round of 8. And you think about the streak that he was on during the regular season, top 5s in all regular season races. And we were talking about this here, Kyle, before we came on the air as well. You mentioned about it almost was like maybe we put a little bit of a hex on him or something. It just seemed like once the playoffs began, the consistency wasn't there. There were a couple of times he was up at the front in closing stages of races and swept up in last lap incidents. The luck factor just has not been there for driver number 4. And again here tonight, something out of his control. Could have been something as far as hardware is concerned. Obviously, maybe potentially something to do with internet, but something, again, out of his control that may very well be taking him out of this championship hunt.
That's a real shame. I mean, seeing how how strong he ran in the regular season leading up to it kind of reminds me of what happened to Kyle Busch in 2008. I mean, he had such a dominant first 26 races of that season, won several races. I believe he was top seeded when the chase started that year, and then once they got to New Hampshire for the start of the chase, it's like the wheels fell off and he could never catch a break in any of those 10 races. Kind of seeing the same thing with Brian Schilling here.
There's the lucky dog drivers, McClure and Breedlove, up on the top side. They'll go around, get their laps back when the lights go out on the pace car. Joe DeSpirito looking for his 3rd win on the season. That would tie, or actually, no, correction. That would actually give him the lead for most wins on the season. He and Tim Nofsker are the only 2 drivers that have won multiple races this season.
Nope, Josh Metallic.
Oh, good call. How do I forget something that literally just happened in the last 2 weeks?
The last 2 races.
It's me. Anything can happen in that regard with my memory. So 3 drivers with 2 wins apiece. So DeSpirito looking to stand alone at the top of that leaderboard with 3 victories. Grant Wesley.
Yeah, it's just 1?
Yep, just 1.
Okay.
So question here for you, Kyle, because I asked you this at the beginning of the race. You said most of the drivers, if not all the playoff contenders, must-win mentality. Now with the issues we've had here with the 17, the 4, you got a couple of drivers back there mid-pack. Grant's been up in the top 5 pretty much the entire night. Has the focus shifted for driver 88? Are we looking now more for points management than we are for that race victory? Try and not put ourselves in a position late in this race that we might give up all the points that we've currently got kind of bagged up here?
It's possible. I mean, I'm sure everybody here knows, where they came into this race in points, how many points they were behind, or how many points they were ahead. I'm sure they know, who was around them in the standings as well. So if they're able to keep up with all that stuff and able to do some math,
I have
quite
returned.
possibly.
I have returned from the little commentator's room. I even had enough time under this caution to run down to the concession stand and get an ice cream cone.
Wow. Thanks for asking if we wanted any.
I'm amazed that they served you. We went to Martinsville and they wouldn't give any hot dogs.
They claim they ran out, but I think they just had it. I think they just had it out against me.
Imagine running out of hot dogs.
At a track that's famous for their
Exactly.
Well, when you sell out before you have a chance to make more, that's probably the reason why. Everyone's ordering like 6 hot dogs on order. Remember, they sold them in like 4-packs.
That's true, but I feel like, to Kyle's point, if you've got a food item that's the staple of your racetrack, you got to be prepared for everything.
Mm-hmm. Just like
we're
Daytona.
About to.
What's Daytona famous for? Nothing specific.
I was gonna. When you asked that, I was like, is there an actual answer to this question? All right, here we go. 7-lap shootout to decide it here tonight at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. 3 drivers will join Josh Metallic in the Final 4 starting next week. 4 drivers championship journey comes to a close here this evening. We do have lap machines, so we do have a marked point of no return in the next 3 laps. Joe DeSpirito, Grant Wesley going to lead their respective lines into turn 1.
DeSpirito got a pretty good start, but the 28 car behind him didn't. I was thinking that could possibly hurt DeSpirito, but he's got the lead so far.
Paglia will draw up to the back bumper of DeSpirito, though, and now it comes down to those second and third cars, the pushing down the back straightaway.
More cars are going to the outside.
Wesley with a slight advantage, but DeSpirito fights back on the bottom.
Keep an eye mid-pack, just outside the top 10. You got Nofsker, Garrett, Ulysses Sandoval, number of playoff drivers right there. That could be where the eliminations are going to take place, around that 4th in the standings cut line.
Side by side, the inside lane's a little more organized.
When are we going to get a third line going here? Well, shouldn't take long.
One person tried it already.
That was Pat McCarskey. No help up there for the 197.
Ulysses Sandoval wants to go up there. He keeps peeking out just a little bit, just looking for some help, it looks like. Dunlop Pratt making a move, maybe. Gets back in line.
He peeked. Crivello peeked. Wesley clear on that top side. Moves to the bottom. Will protect that yellow line. Looks like Chuck McClure. That back end damage, as long as he's got somebody pushing him, he's been able to stay up here in this lead pack.
Spirito to the outside. Gets in front of Sullins. See if that can push him to the lead here.
88 has everything to lose. The drivers around him have nothing to lose. DeSpirito, Sullins, Paglia, Rawson, Seminara, they just want the victory. They're not battling for the championship anymore.
Sandoval going to lead a third line now. It's got, I believe that's the 29 behind him and a few others.
That's Mike Mangialardi. Those are the 2 guys working together that are battling in the bracket challenge. How does that work?
They always seem to find each other when it comes to the bracket, as we've seen so far this season.
Now, does the 38 pull down low if he gets clear of the 88? That's a question. And we're actually at that point of no return now, Seth.
We are indeed. If a caution comes out now, race will end under yellow. And we've seen the caution flag fly at different areas of the racetrack. Sometimes right after they cross the start-finish line, giving them a full lap to come back around. Sometimes just a few hundred feet before the start-finish line, giving drivers absolutely no time to be able to make a move. Oh, McCarskey up into the wall. He's going to save it. Stay green for the time being. Sandoval, Mangialardi now left by their lonesome in that third lane. Sandoval finds a way back down.
Yeah, that hurt that third lane right there. Looks like the 38 is clear for second, maybe. Wesley trying to come back. He's still got the 28 behind him.
If the 24 car wins, the cut line is going to stay at the 4th position.
Correct. If any of the top 3 right now win, that cut line does not shift. DeSpirito, Sullins, Seminara get the checkered flag. Nothing changes now.
Brad
goes
to the inside, right in front of Grant Wesley.
Ooh, almost got spun out back there. Chuck McClure. He's getting a big shove from Brian Schilling, who's trying to help him get up there to the front, and nearly just helped him around into turn 1.
The middle lane getting the run. There's not much Dunn can do at this point.
All he can do is rely on the pushes from behind.
He needs the third lane to form to break the middle lane's momentum.
Take a look to the outside of them. The silver 77 of Donnie Garrett might be able to utilize that middle line to be the highest running of the playoff contenders at the close of this one. He is 6th on that outside line. 2 to go this time by. DeSpirito still out in front. Sullins and Seminara right behind him. Here comes Crivello to the bottom for 3rd on Seminara. Sullins moves low. DeSpirito covers with a block through the 1 and 2 corners. Sullins will go back up. Whoa, DeSpirito wasn't able to make the block. Sullins with a good push from Seminara will draw even through 3 and 4. Squarely middle of the pack. Whoa, DeSpirito! There they go at the front!
The field.
Caution Caution's gonna
another
fly!
upside down, Grant Wesley.
That's the whole field. Top 3 are the only ones that get away. Here comes LaPrade looking high for the win. Despirito will block him. Despirito will pick up the victory. Caution flies. White flag flies. Race will end next time by. Only 2 playoff contenders got through. LaPrade, who crossed the line in second. Garrett, who crossed the line in third. Now the question is the who's who of who gets back to the start-finish line for the remaining playoff drivers.
Of course, we would have a finish like this on the cutoff race.
Ulysses.
My goodness.
Sandoval got through 9th place. Grant crossed in 10th.
Jessica, even though says she was lapped down, but I wonder if she made it through that wreck too.
McClure, 16th.
I don't think it really matters at this point, right?
Nofsker, 13th. Yeah, it might matter. It might very well matter.
By now, even when they get caught up, it's like whoever crosses the line where you're at.
But I think it matters as far as those drivers that were involved who got back to the start-finish line first of the wrecked machines. Now again, I always say this, don't go by my math. I'm just eyeballing it, but based on who got back to the start-finish line first, we know Metallic's locked in. I think Garrett and LaPrade could very well, if getting through that wreck, they may be able to have enough points to advance. That leaves the big question mark of that 4th and final position. It would be really, really close, but I think it would go to Wesley.
Yeah, Wesley was pretty high up.
He was the highest, 5 points to the good of the remaining 7 playoff drivers.
Here comes Joe Despirito, going to pick up win number 3 on the season.
We will more than likely have the official results of who is in, who is eliminated before this broadcast is over. So stay tuned, folks. But 3rd win. Stands alone now at the top of most wins here in Season 64, Joe Despirito.
We got to go back and look at that, though.
Oh, yeah.
He got hooked.
I think Kyle's going to have to add a couple more to that flip list.
Unofficially, I've got 7 right now. I'm adding Grant Wesley. We'll see what else happened here in this wreck. But man, I mean, what a run Joe Despirito's been on. It's a shame that he was not able to make the playoffs here, because, boy, I think he'd have been your front runner for the championship right there, the way he's been running.
This reminds me of last season with Grant Wesley. Grant missed a good portion of the schedule due to work reasons. Came back, obviously didn't advance in the playoffs, but he was one of the strongest cars during the entire postseason, and it left us wondering what if he had actually advanced into the postseason. We would have more than likely been talking about him as one of the favorites to win the title. You fast forward here to Season 64. Joe Despirito missed a few races and returns back, and he's gone to victory lane 3 times. It's, again, the question of what if. If he had been in the playoffs in this postseason, this victory here tonight could very well have been his ticket into looking for yet another championship in the Talladega Challenge Series.
Driving a bit of a Days of Thunder throwback, the City Chevrolet, and that last lap looked like something out of Days of Thunder, that big wreck that happened behind him. We will take a look at in just a second as we look at him doing his burnouts here.
3rd time this season, we should be seeing the patented reverse burnouts. And I'll try and see if I can double check. I know you asked the question earlier, Kyle, about whether he had a victory at both racetracks this season. We know he had one at Talladega. I'll try and see if I can find out if this is his 2nd victory on the season at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway or his 1st. But cumulatively, his 3rd win on the season, his 2nd win here in the playoffs as well, as he won the playoff opener. And are we doing a backwards Polish victory lap here as well?
Maybe.
Maybe not. All right, let's go back. Let's take a look at what ended this race under yellow. This was coming back to the white flag. It started up at the front of the field and swallowed up pretty much all but the top 3 drivers. What car do we even focus on? I guess the 88 of Wesley. I think you said he was the one that caught air.
Yeah, he's the first one I saw. Well, Spirito got on the apron.
Yes, he
maybe
did.
That had something to do with it. Oh, there's the 41.5 flip there.
Bunch of drivers spinning through the infield grass. I mean, the track's almost completely blockaded up. Novsker throws it in reverse to try to get back to the start-finish line. I mean, every position matters.
Sandoval just edging out Wesley right there. I mean, talk about every point, matter.
Just a mad scramble back to the line. Let's see if we can get another angle here and see who ended up getting...
Oh, looks like there was contact there between like the 36 and the 38. And I think that's what caused the 24 to get on the apron. Let's see here.
Or does the 36 bump the 24 in the corner first?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, everyone was just holding the gas down.
Oh, yeah. Nobody used the brake there. You see a wreck coming to a caution, especially if you're a playoff contender, your first thought is positions!
Yep.
Your second thought is, it's a Maverick night!
Your third thought is, what's a brake?
Do they use brakes in Maverick?
Occasionally.
I'm not lifting until I see God or the checkered flag. Yeah, just look right. No, I think that, the 36, I think, got into the 24 and then just drifted up the track. I mean, that was just carnage.
Well, look at... Notice
Oh,
Sandoval. Boy,
Nosker almost got through that. He got clipped at the last minute by McClure. He almost pulled off what he did in the early portion of this race.
He almost 360'd it, but the banking prevented him from turning all the way back around.
I want to go on board
So then he
with
kicked it in reverse.
Ulysses.
He kicked it in reverse and was like, okay, I got this.
Sandoval got knocked around a couple of times. I don't know if he was able to keep it together, but...
He would have been right in the middle of this. Yeah, he may have had the best seat in the house.
We also got to remember, so we could see some post-race, that if this wreck called on somebody, could see a post-race penalty.
No, he did spin, but...
Honestly, Michael, I think the incident will go on the 36, who's a non-playoff driver, so I don't think he'll necessarily have any implications towards the playoffs.
No, right here, it was just like, okay, time to go. Position,
Grab a gear.
I don't think he ever fully got out of the throttle that entire time.
Oh, and he beat Grant.
Yeah, just barely nipped the 88 at the line there.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Grant was up in the air... Let's see, where did he cross the line coming to the white flag? He was...
backwards.
7th. And he only lost 3 positions in what we're going to see here with the onboard on the 88.
I think Solid's got upside down, too.
Oh, that camera did not survive.
Until we flip back over.
There's Chuck McClure sliding across there. Oh, had further contact with Paglia.
Yeah, I'm going to look at Solins. Did he get upside down as well?
He got up on his side. Definitely know that he got up on his side. I don't know if he went completely over. I do know that his roof camera will not survive, so we'll go inside the cockpit of the 38. Not the roof, the cockpit. There we go.
What's it called?
The cockpit.
Gotcha.
That's where the pilot goes. Because he was a pilot right here. Oh, yep, that went over.
So that's 8 cars that fully went upside down in this race. My goodness. At least that's what I have counted. Anybody watching in the chat want to correct me there if I'm wrong. But...
Who else in our chat has a flip counter here tonight? So a mad scramble back to the start finish line. And Joe DeSpirito picking up the victory. LaPrade second, Garrett in third. we'll have to see here even for Dunn LaPrade, who is 9 points below the cut line. Is second place enough? With Grant Wesley still finishing inside of the top 10. Nofsker finishing in 12th. That's 10 positions, and I believe those two were separated by 6 points. We're going to have to wait until they get all the calculations here as to who the official drivers are. I think Donnie Garrett is a safe bet to advance. He was above the cut line by 3 points. Podium finish. We'll be talking with him, LaPrade, and Despirito here in just a few moments.
And like Michael said, like this is all unofficial.
Correct.
Like he mentioned, you need to take into account any potential post-race penalties too. So take all this with a grain of salt, all the information you get right now.
Yep, even when we give you what your final four are heading into next week, just take that with a grain of salt. Wait until we end up having the official word next week, because a lot can happen in the next 7 days. Jeremy Jeffries brings it home in 4th, Kelly Causey in 5th. I mean, pretty much from 4th place on back were drivers that either just barely skirted through the wreck or were involved and were able to get back to the start-finish line ahead of all the others swept up. Bynum in 6th. Mangialardi and Ulysses Sandoval, the two drivers that were fighting to see who was going to face off against Brian Schilling in the finals next week for the bracket challenge. One behind the other in 7th and 8th. Mangialardi will win out in that battle, so it will be Schilling versus Mangialardi next week at Talladega. Wesley brings it home in 9th, and Pat McCarskey will complete the top 10. Cy Jones in 11th. Nofsker there in 12th. Is that enough to advance? Terry Bombard, Dennis McCarthy, Chuck McClure, the top 15. McClure able to come back from what was more than likely going to be about a 27th, 28th place finish. At least a net gain there after the issue he had, but will it be enough for him to advance? You got Martin, Breedlove, Paglia, Waugh, and Sullins, the top 20. And the last two drivers to finish on the lead lap are Ron Hagelin and Bob Seminara. Brian Rawson finishing a lap down. He did not get back to the start-finish line. Jeff Crivello. Michael, you good? Michael, you eating some cereal or something? You want to share?
I told you I was eating ice cream.
Oh, okay. It sounds
cone.
very crunchy.
I didn't expect that to be picked up on my microphone.
He's busy. He's busy right now. He's eating ice cream.
Yeah.
I'm eating ice cream.
It's not going to pit our car, even though the race is over. Jeff
Craig.
Crivello, Denny Carroll did not reach the conclusion. Schilling 2 laps down in 26th. He more than likely will be eliminated. Shelton also 2 laps down in 27th. The rest of these drivers out of the race due to the previous cautions. We had 5 of them in total here tonight. Jeffrey Elliott, Bernie Mobbs, Glenn Harris, John Godfrey, Doug Hewlick,
Gilbert,
Graham McDonald, Craig Hagley, and Doug Cady.
That's a high number of DNFs. We haven't had that many, and
speaking
might be the most that I've seen.
Speaking of Craig Hagley, he is in our chat and said, "Brakes? What are those?"
Yeah.
What are those?
I'm not sure what they are either. I was hoping somebody would tell us.
Is that pedal that's on the left?
I always thought that was the clutch, but I don't use that very often either.
No.
All right. While we wait for the points to be calculated, let's go down and see if we can dial up our podium finishers here tonight. Let's kick things off with our 3rd place finisher, driver the 74, Dunn LaPrade. Actually, no, correction.
That would be Donnie Garrett.
That'd be Donnie Garrett.
77.
Yes. Let's talk with him.
User was moved to your channel.
Hey, Donnie, Kyle, Michael, Seth up here in the FRM booth. Got a copy?
Ric Flair, all right.
Styling and profiling to the 3rd position here this evening. You got a front row seat of everything in your rearview mirror here tonight. 3rd place to advance into the Final Four. I have to admit, I did a little eavesdropping earlier on this evening. Heard you and Grant Wesley talking about all the scenarios here this evening, how close the points were with all those playoff drivers up there inside of the top 10 in the closing stages. How nervous were you? Did you know what position you needed to be in to advance? What was going through your mind there in these closing stages?
Well, I tell you, my shirt's so wet you could wring water out of it. It's I was there towards the end. At one point there, I knew Grant was up front, and I knew he had the better points going into it. So I just kind of put him out of mind. And then I had Tim there, and Tim was, I think, 3 behind me. So as long as I could finish within, a few spots of him, then all of a sudden our line just started rolling, and I got up in front of him, and I'm like, man, this is awesome, And no one else was around. I hated Schilling and Chuck had those problems, but that kind of eliminated them. And then all of a sudden that wreck happened, and I come out of that smoke. I mean, I was in the middle of that wreck, and I come out of that smoke and got through there. And I mean, I was just holding on for dear life, and I don't think I've ever held a wheel that tight. And got on up through there and ended up finishing third. So, man, what a night! It's great to do that.
You came into tonight above the cut line. Other drivers came in below the cut line, and I've talked with drivers in the past when we end up getting to these elimination races. Some of them want to play that defense. They want to be above the cut line and just kind of work who is around them, try and calculate points that way. Other drivers feel a sense of freedom when they're below the cut line because they just really have one goal, and that's have a bit of a must-win mentality to try and advance up further. Did you like the position you were in here tonight, playing the defense against the other drivers that were trying to advance their way in?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you want to be as high as you can be. I mean, with this group of guys, I'll tell you in my opinion, some of the best super speedway racers in the country. And, they're all smart, and they're watching the same thing I'm doing. They're watching the points, and they want to know where everybody else is at. You're watching them when they have trouble, when they're in front of you. And, you do so many calculations in your head. I mean, I am just mentally drained right now. And, just from, and I tried to stay on the bottom and just ride all night. I didn't get crazy. I didn't want to go up top and get caught nothing. You know me, I'm a bottom feeder, and just kind of held, just kind of tried to stay out of trouble, man, and just watched everybody around me. I pushed a little bit when I needed to, but for the most part, I was points racing.
Well, you get a chance now to kick back, relax, get prepared for this Final Four kicking off next week at Talladega Superspeedway. And, looking at your finishes down this home stretch as well, not only did you have that victory that locked you into the playoffs, but we've been seeing, since these playoffs began, a lot of consistency out of this 77 car. And while victories are great, ultimately we've seen in these 2-race final round championship battles, it's been the most consistent car that's ended up winning the championship. What does this do for you in terms of confidence with this momentum going into that Final Four battle?
Hey, don't give me any. I know who I'm around. I mean, Grant's one of the best in the business. Josh, of course. Hey, Josh, if you're listening, man, have fun. Drink one for me. But, I know who's around me. And, like I say, the guy that surprised me the most is Dunn. That guy, man, he has just had one hell of a season. I mean, he just come out of nowhere, and he's just a good, solid, clean racer. And I'm so proud of him to I think he was one of the top 4s there. So pretty proud of him. And but like I said, I got my work cut out for me, man. It just now that narrows, that window narrows. Now we got 3 people to watch instead of 7, so it kind of narrows. And I'm telling you, it's going to be tough. I mean, I think you're going to have to win a race to win this championship. I don't think second, third's going to do it. I think you're going to have to win one.
Well, one step closer towards that championship. You advance into the Final Four here tonight with the solid 3rd place performance, able to get through that last wreck, coming to what was initially the proverbial checkered flag, the flying of the white and the caution at the same time. We wish you the best of luck in that battle for the championship in the next 2 weeks. Donnie, before we let you go, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Well, I got to thank you guys, man. I mean, you guys go put up a good race. I cannot wait to go back and watch this tomorrow. Got to thank, all the admin, Tim, Josh, and then Randy. Got to apologize to Tim for last week, man. I thought I was clear when I went up on him, and man, I don't know. It was so tight, and caused him. I kind of ruined his night. I hated that, but so apologize to him. But I got to thank Sullen's Paints, man. I tell you what, this 77 with this gray scheme is really doing well out here. And so, like I said, I got to thank Sullen's Paints for that. Owners over here. I tell you, just right now, I just want to go to bed. So I'm wore out, man. I'm mentally drained right now. And like I said, I hope I didn't miss anybody. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the next 2 weeks.
Well, we'll let you go get some rest, well deserved. Have you refreshed for next week as you go to work to try and capture this championship starting next week at Talladega Superspeedway.
Woo!
Donnie Garrett, the Nature Boy, on the podium tonight, advances into the Final Four. as does the driver that brings it home in the runner-up position. Let's see if we can dial up Dun LaPrade.
User was moved to your
Hey,
channel.
Dun, it's Michael Kyle Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
It has been a season of firsts for you, my friend. First full-time season in the series, first trip to victory lane, first appearance in the playoffs, and now you're going for that first championship as you've advanced into the Final Four, bringing it home in the second position here tonight in this elimination race. First off, I gotta ask, we just asked Donnie Garrett, he says he's worn out from what happened there, that final run to the eventual race-ending caution. Where are you at physically, mentally, with everything that was going on, and then ultimately seeing the carnage behind you, but able to bring it home with the car in one piece and on the podium?
Well, for one, I am sweating, just trying to, calm myself down, and I'm definitely gonna get some good sleep tonight. Had a good workout physically and mentally after those final intense couple of laps. That's what I really needed, knowing my sleep schedule. But it has just been a very crazy race. I mean, I had to be in. My only option was really to win, and I came awfully close for sure, but to get second, I knew that it was gonna be with Tim, Brian, Grant, Ulysses, Donnie, and others, fighting for those final three spots. I knew it was gonna be an uphill battle to get one of those spots, and unfortunately, several of the playoff drivers had some issues, before that second to last caution, and then in the final caution that ultimately ended the race. So I hated that happened to all of the drivers, with their issues and whatnot. I wish that caution never came. I would have liked to be able to battle it out to get one of those final four spots with them. The way that I would love for it to be, but that's just what it is sometimes with super speedway racing. I mean, you I mean, everybody's going everywhere, and at least on my end, I was just trying to stay glued to the front as much as I possibly can, and you know, knowing the fact that if I get this win, I that would automatically make it safe for me to make it into the next round. But if I finished second, I just wasn't sure that if I had enough points. But after seeing all of the playoff drivers getting caught up in that final wreck, and I was like, I might have a shot. But yeah, what a crazy race. And I put myself in a bad spot early on when Joe DeSpirito passed me. I was getting really comfortable running that middle lane, leading the race, and try to get as many laps led as I can to get some bonus points. And I just got too comfortable, and he, you know, got me on the inside, which is what you're supposed to do. And congrats to Joe DeSpirito, a well on a win for him. It sucks that I put myself in that spot, but luckily I was able to come back to finish second and have a shot at the win. But to have a shot to make it the final four, which I did, may not have been the way that I would have liked for it to be. But to make it in the final four, I guess take whatever you can, I reckon.
Yeah, came into this race tonight 9 below the cut line, and scoring has you 5 to the good above the cut line coming in tonight. Kyle, I think you had a question there.
Yeah, heading into this race, knowing that this is the final cutoff race before the championship race, were you feeling any extra nerves, or did that not kick in until the closing stages of the race?
I did not have any nerves going into the race, but in those final 10 laps, I definitely can confirm that the nerves were definitely through the roof. It was probably the most nerve-wracking, final 10 laps that I've had all season long, just because it's a spot, there's a championship on the line. And, I felt really calm early on. And then, I felt calm before that caution, which bunched up everybody. And then when that happened, I was like, all right, I just got to, calm my nerves down, but also, also just strategize and plan out what I'm going to do if this person does this or that, and when I have to make the move. And I was trying really hard to. I was tempted to make that third line work up there. I noticed that Ulysses Sandoval was up there trying to make it work, but if I try to go up there, I mean, if I went up there, so be it. It didn't work, so be it. But yeah, I was just trying to do everything I can, and and then the nerves were still pretty shot, still even after all was said and done. Um, but yeah, I mean, we got down to I think it was 3 to go or something like that. I moved to the inside, going through the tri-board. I was like, all right, I got to take this. It's now or never. And fortunately, that made it work. And that my nerves were still pretty bad at that moment, just because you never know what's gonna happen. But yeah, my nerves are, my nerves level is like toned down quite a lot now that I can, breathe and relax, knowing that I've made it into the next round. But yeah, to answer your question, my nerves were pretty shot and was, like I said, skyrocketed those final 10 laps.
Well, it sounds like that's kind of the general consensus of a lot of the playoff drivers, knowing just how close the points were coming into this evening. Only 14 points separated the remaining 7 playoff contenders. But Dunn, congratulations, advancing here into the Final Four, a chance to be able to battle for the championship in your first full-time season. We're certainly looking forward to seeing what you're able to do kicking off this Final Four round starting next week at Talladega. Before we let you go and get some well-earned rest, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Well, first of all, I want to give a big thank you to Dante Ricky. He really helped me out a lot this season to not only be a better driver, but to really, I mean, he just helped me out so much, and I owe all my, I mean, I like to get off my, I mean, I like to take credit, but I have to give it all to Dante. I mean, he's really helped me out, every which way possible this season, and I owe him one big time. Shout out to you, Dante. Shout out to RTG, well, everybody that raced tonight, putting on a great show. Shout out to everybody watching at home, watching the race. Shout out to you guys for broadcasting the race. And shout out to everyone else who has made me a better driver.
Well done, LaPrade gets second place here tonight in the final elimination race. Garners enough points to advance into the Final Four, and he will be one of the 4 competitors to battle for the championship starting next week. Congratulations on the podium finish here tonight, Dunn. Best of luck in your battling for the title here in Season 64.
Thank you all.
Dunn LaPrade.
User was moved out of your
Going
channel.
to be looking, as many other drivers are, towards next week as a Final Four competitor to maybe get that checkered flag, set the tone for that regular, or that final race of the season, I should say, at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, the track we were at tonight. We'll return to in 2 weeks' time with the championship on the line. Kyle, I went and did some digging. It is the first time this season that Joe DeSpirito goes to victory lane at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. His 2 previous victories at Talladega. Collectively, his 3rd win on the season. Let's go down to victory lane and talk with him now.
User was moved to your
Hey,
channel.
Joe, Michael, Kyle, Seth up here in the FRM booth. Got a copy?
Hey guys, I got you. How you doing?
Well, man, I'll tell you what. You now stand alone at the top of the leaderboard with most wins on the season. Your 3rd checkered flag here tonight. It leaves us with the question of what if you had advanced into the playoffs, we would most likely be talking to you as a Final Four competitor. But in looking forward towards Season 65, you're definitely making a case for yourself to be one of the favorites for the title when we get to the new season with the run you've been on, especially here since the playoffs began.
Yeah, man, I've been running hard. Nothing to lose out of the playoffs. Just, running hard, picking the right lane. Trying to enter pit road as fast as possible, get off as fast as possible. Nothing to lose, man.
A lot of interesting scenarios here tonight with the timing of the cautions. We even had that phantom debris caution around the halfway point that bunched everybody back up. But you talked about picking the right lanes. We ended up seeing a lot of movement here tonight, a lot of swapping back and forth, particularly the inside and middle line. The third line tried to form a number of times, and only 2 times can I recollect it really actually generating some forward momentum. With that being said you have nothing to lose. How difficult is it at a track like this? We know at Talladega the different lines that can move if you've got the right amount of people, but a bit of an enigma here with Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway where that momentum is going to be. How difficult is it to pick that correct line, or is there some kind of thing that you can see visibly that gives you that forewarning as to which lane you have to be in?
Yeah, BSR is a little trickier, I would say, but it makes it more racy. Talladega is kind of more middle lane heavy, and a lot of times you get single filed out. Here, the bottom lane is faster just because it's a little wider and you get a little more room off of turn 2 to wash up and keep your speed. Yeah, it's a little trickier here. But what keeps happening with the third lane is people are prematurely going up there. There's times you got to pick your spots to go up there, and people are just jumping as soon as we go back green, and you gotta wait a little while before things wound up, and then you jump third lane. So if people did that, then you'd see more third lane 3-wide action. But it makes it tricky to pick the right lane here at BSR.
All right, let's talk about that run coming back to what was eventually the race-ending caution, because it wasn't an easy final lap for you. You got that bump in turn 4, down to the apron, able to save it, somehow kept your momentum to get back to the start-finish line first. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to be able to see the hand motion with the steering wheel, but I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall to see what you had to do to gather that thing back up. Were you firmly in control, or was there a little doubt that you were going to be able to keep that thing going and not only get back to the start-finish line first, but get back to the start-finish line at all?
Oh, yeah, the second I hit that apron, I thought I was done. I mean, I'm wiggling the wheel to find any type of traction I can, and it kind of helped me out that I was kind of on the apron there because I got hit from the side. I think it was Rodney that hit me, almost like it straightened me out, sort of, and gave me a little speed boost there and held off Dunn to the checkered flag there. But, yeah, the second I hit the apron, I thought I was done.
Well, a great save, able to bring it home, pick up the checkered flag. We saw the reverse burnouts for the 3rd time this season. Your first checkered flag of the season here at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway as well. Still 2 more races to go. Could see you in victory lane a time or 2 before the close of this season, but we'll let you get back down to your celebrating right after we hand the microphone over to here, Joe, for victory lane. Thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Yeah, I'll be running hard. I got 2 more races. We got 2 more races this season. I'll be trying to get at least 1 more. Make it 4. Yeah, I want to thank you guys at FRN, Seth, Kyle, Michael. I want to thank everybody at RTG. The admins here on Thursday night are great. Thank some of the sponsors here, Race LM, Mark Paglia, Dixon Brothers, Ultimate Garage Floors. I want to thank my sponsors and my team at Mobs Motors. And everybody watching at home, my family, my friends, Dan, Elsie. And, yeah, thanks, guys.
Joe DeSpirito, your race winner here tonight. 3rd win in Season 64 as he takes the checkered flag at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Congratulations on the victory. Best of luck here down the final 2 races of the season.
Thanks. Good night, guys.
Joe DeSpirito playing playoff spoiler once again, denying a second driver to win their way into the Final 4. But as we said, this is the unofficial Final 4 for next week. Stuff could change between now and next week, but right now, those that would battle it out for the championship here, gentlemen, would be, we already knew Josh Metallic with the victory last week. Donnie Garrett, the 3rd place performance tonight, moves him into the Final 4. Dunn LaPrade, who got the runner-up finish, we talked with him moments ago. He locks himself into the Final 4, and the last spot going to go to 9th place finishing Grant Wesley, who had a little spin and save there as well in the infield grass. caught some air there as well, able to bring it home with enough points to battle for the championship, meaning the 4 drivers that are on the outside looking in eliminated from the championship hunt. The defending champion Tim Nofsker, Ulysses Sandoval, Chuck McClure, and arguably the most consistent driver on the regular season with top 5s in all regular season races, Brian Schilling. So, honestly, guys, I will be perfectly honest with you. If we were given a lineup here and had to set our own predictions for who was going to be advancing into the round of 8, advancing into the final 4, about 3 of my picks for the final 4 got eliminated here, so I think my bracket would have been easily broken.
Yeah, but that doesn't surprise me.
I would have only been able to pick Josh Metallic.
Yeah. I mean, it was an interesting race to say the least. Full of drama and what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know.
Chaos?
Someone's gonna chaos. I love chaos. And it brought about a good good finish to the race.
It did indeed, and a lot of people might be thinking as well, with 2 races here in this final round, there may be a complete runaway, and that's possible, but I will also whet your appetite and let you know that in 2 seasons so far, we've ended up having the championship come down to 1 and 2 points, so it can be that close in a cumulative amount of points in 2 races. And interesting point of note that we had there from Donnie Garrett, and I want your guys' opinion on this. Feeling as a Final Four competitor that you have to win in the upcoming first race of this final round at Talladega Superspeedway, try and get those max points in preparation for the second race. What do you think about that? Because as I'm looking here, I actually, when we were talking with Dunn, I looked, and surprisingly enough, he's got back-to-back second place finishes here at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. His last 2 finishes at Talladega, however, both outside of the top 15. So Donnie might have something there about establishing those maximum points right out of the gate, so that way if something happens in the final race of the season, you have maybe a little bit of wiggle room to be able to still be able to eke out that championship win.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think you got to go in there thinking, okay, I've made it to the final. I've made it to the finals. I have a shot at the championship. I've got nothing to lose at this point. I need to go hard, every lap and get as many points as I possibly can. So at least that's how I would feel.
Yeah, it was fun to be here. I'm glad I was here, and I can't wait to see how the last 2 races are going to play out.
Going to be a good one here as we will kick off the final 4 next week at Talladega Superspeedway. Metallic, Garrett, Wesley, LaPrade. 2 of these drivers have been a former champion. 2 are looking for their first championship trophy. We'll see who's going to set the tone next Thursday night with the green flag flying at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Before that, on Wednesday night, we've got the Esports Oval League's Grind Cup Series. They'll be at Pocono Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sports team-themed race at the track known as the Tricky Triangle. That'll all be coming up next week here on FRN. Thank you all for tuning to our coverage here tonight. For Michael Norman, Kyle Matthews, I'm Seth Cole. We'll see you guys next week as the final round of the playoffs have begun here in Season 64 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series here on FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you